starting part 9, Mark Passio's natural law seminar, rolling into the good stuff over here on Reactions, Rants, and Rabbit Holes, and I'm a little hyped up. An ex-doomsday cult that now operates as a, religious entity with tax-free status just came to the door. And I asked them if they wanted to talk about the doomsday cult origins of their organization. They didn't. Then I wanted to talk about groups that have elders abusing kids and hide them. They didn't. I said, we're not going to talk. Thank you. But here's my problem. That is like almost a warrior. Good for them for their conviction. And I told them, I'm sure they are good people, meaning no harm. But harm is one of the things their group has done. And then any organization that cloaks itself in secrecy or hides and occults some of its knowledge is very corruptible. So, to be fair, I had real world applications of being steeped in the natural law seminar. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for empowering me. I was not rude. I was very polite. I was just firm.
Okay? And that is his fee. I know because I've actually had some people speak to his management. That's what a New Age presenter gets. You know what I ask for? 0. I don't even ask for a stipend because I don't even care about fake money. I care about making real money. Real one I. The word money is actually one I. And people don't even have said it a billion times in their life and never recognize what they're saying is one I. And it's the symbol of the one eye, which represents spiritual enlightenment, is plastered all over the $1 bill. Okay? Well, this is the one. See, I tell people, I'm a poor man when it comes to the fake money, but I'm very rich in the real stuff. The real thing, I have tons of. The fake stuff, I don't do so well with, and I don't care. It's not what I'm concerned about. I know it's fake. Okay? So, I don't ask for a stipend when I present. I tell whoever's setting up the presentation, pay for my travel and lodging. Hook me up with a dinner or whatever. That's it. I'll come out and speak anywhere. Okay? The point is, if I was trying to appeal to somebody's ego and what they wanted to hear, I would tell you your beliefs are very important. Your beliefs shape, and they do shape your reality. In a negative way, if you don't align yourself with truth and you want to stay attached to a belief system, because you prefer it over what's real, okay? So when it comes to...
Just to double down, that's how I nailed it, and they couldn't walk away fast enough. I know a couple of the details I presented are true. They are just facts. But they don't want to perceive those facts as pertinent to their current organizational needs. So they have to move along. Because they're there recruiting, not telling truth. And it's so confusing to me that people buy into that shit, boy.
The point...
And to be able to be empowered by the
point is, if I was trying to appeal to somebody's ego and what they wanted to hear, I would tell you your beliefs are very important. Your beliefs shape, and they do shape your reality. In a negative way, if you don't align yourself with truth and you want to stay attached to a belief system because you prefer it over what's real, okay? So when it comes to natural law, I'm not telling people don't believe in yourself. People will say, there's forms of belief that are good. Yeah, I acknowledge that. I understand that. Believe in yourself. Believe in your own ability to come to this understanding of information like this. But I'm explaining when it comes to a law that is existent in the universe, your belief doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The universe doesn't care what those parents at that picnic whose child just went over the cliff believed. It doesn't care whether that girl doesn't know how gravity works. It's going to have an effect. You act a certain way, like a computer. boom, you put this in, here's how you program this, that's what has to come out, invariably. Invariably. It is nothing personal. Natural law is not a personal force. It is an impersonal force. That every single mystery tradition and occult tradition that has actually wanted to share this knowledge with people has been telling people about and attempting to tell people about since time immemorial. It is an impersonal force. It does not care about you. It does not worry or care in the slightest bit whether you understand it or accept it or not. It is in effect, you are bound by it, the end, and stop crying in your milk over it. That's it. No one wants to hear that. And I'm not so naive that I recognize people don't want to hear that I don't recognize that. I do recognize that. Believe me, I realize the wall I am up against in saying this. I get it fully. Fully. If I wanted to blow smoke up people's rear ends, I'd come up here and I'd say, the universe cares about you and what you believe.
Like, subscribe, and share. We'll get to your favorite reactions as soon as this is done. Support the channel at www.payme. Whatever. And then you do it every day. You'd find creative ways to do it. And then you would tie it to a personality style that was as consumable to the masses as it could be. Like me, I would have had to go and do, the pop stuff, the Dimash, Miss Fabian, all of the foreign stuff, because the market works out better for numbers. But then instead of being able to reflect anything of the world that I believe I'm trying to live in, I'd have just had to play along with the game. And I don't know if I would have been able to make something of it and then stay the same person. And that's the part that scares me, because it took a lot of years to get to this point. Oof, a lot of years. It's a good Ace of Rock song, too.
And it's going to gauge that, it's going to look at all that, and it's going to tabulate it, and it's going to say, well, what did he believe when he took this action? It's not going to say that. It's going to say, is this what happened? Yes or no? Yes? Here's the result. That's it. Unwaveringly and invariably. The human ego has a hard time with that. There was some popular TV show, I don't even remember what it was. Barb had downloaded it, and she was watching an episode, and it said, humanity's greatest fear is that truth is absolute. And I usually don't bother watching any television, okay? I downloaded a couple of shows to watch them because they're allegories, and I want to pick apart the allegory. But I wasn't even watching this one, but I heard it, my head snapped around. Whoa, that came through a network television show? How'd that happen? Humanity's greatest fear is that the truth is absolute. The ego has a hard time with the concept of any absolutes. It loves relativism. That's another part of the big trap of where we're at. Relativistic ideas, and especially when it comes to morality. We're going to talk about moral relativism.
Oh, yeah, because art is subjective, morality's not.
But the concept here is natural law does not require your belief to be in effect, no more than gravity requires your belief to be in effect. Okay? That needs to be understood. Human belief is completely irrelevant when it comes to the existence and operation of natural law, just as it is irrelevant in relation to any of the other laws of nature, such as gravity, inertia, momentum, thermodynamics, or electromagnetism. Similar to such other phenomena of nature. The workings of natural law require no belief in order for them to be discovered and known. So what I'm saying is, your belief will not change natural law, but your inquiry into it can lead to an understanding of it. You can develop the knowledge of it if you are willing to open your mind and look at how these laws function and what we're getting as a result of our disharmony with them. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said that there are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what is not true, and the other is to refuse to accept what is true.
Now, at that slide's presentation, I would like to acknowledge that Mark Passio puts a lot of work and effort into everything that he's done. If you'd like to support him, I highly support that. Because I don't want to exploit Mark. I want a refresher and I want to share it with you. That's it. But his effort, his presentation is very clean and understandable, and I think that deserves to be respected. I can't do more. Ange and I, partook in that. We made sure we got the knowledge base, and I'm pretty sure I've got there, just for shits and giggles. What's on earth? What on earth is happening? Keychain been hanging on the wall the whole time. Yeah, the whole time. Been right up here. So, if you would like, that would be awesome. But that's all I'd ask through this whole thing, because I don't want to exploit Mark. And I want, just in case something happens, I want to make sure throughout the whole thing we acknowledge the importance of the presenter and the knowledge, not him personally, but he put a lot of effort into it, and I respect that.
Okay? So, believing in untrue notions, which is what religion is, all forms of it, all the 5 religions I posted at the beginning of the presentation. Organized cultural religion, money, scientism, politics, and the New Age movement. There's the world religions, folks. People think of religion as only the cultural religions. No, there's 4 other ones. One's called government and authority, okay? Or politics, however you want to name it. The other one is money, finance. There's another religion. One of them is the New Age movement, and one of them is scientism, which I'm not going to refer to as real science because it is not.
Yeah.
It is a belief system and a religion.
We learned that during
So what
the
Kierkegaard
pandemic.
is saying here is, which I'm not going to refer to as real science because it is not. It is a belief system and a religion. So what Kierkegaard is saying here is, you could believe things that aren't true, and that will hold you back. And you can refuse to accept what is true, and that will also hold you back. I say these are the only 2 ways that humanity ever creates self-inflicted suffering for itself. You want to know how suffering is created for the human species? That it doesn't need to experience? We believe what's not true. We refuse to accept what is true. That's why self-inflicted suffering exists in our species. And if we are to become wise, we need to stop doing both of those things, and then we'll stop creating suffering for ourselves. So let's look at consciousness and the human brain, okay? Because consciousness is an intangible force, okay? It's something that exists, but you can't really see it. Many people even have a hard time explaining what it is. But there is physiological expressions for consciousness in the physical domain, and the brain is one of them. And of course, people will say, well, don't leave out the heart. Of course, the heart is also very important. Heart has an even bigger electromagnetic field than the brain and is tied into the physiology in an even more complex way than the brain is. But we need to understand the basic structure of the brain to understand the types of imbalances that go on within it that lead to these debilitating conditions within humanity that continue to create suffering for us. And also, what these belief systems do is they prevent the activation of the heart and the actions, of care and action. Not only do they prevent real knowledge from manifesting within the being, they prevent care, and they create apathy, and they create inaction, laziness, inaction, and cowardice, so that we don't actually act and take action based upon what we've come to know. So let's look at how brain and consciousness actually work. People will also try to give ridiculously overcomplicated and mystified definitions of what consciousness means. And many people are even scared of the term, okay? We have to demystify these terms and bring them down to real simple English and real simple concepts that the average person can grasp, okay? And stop trying to make it more complicated than it is. Being conscious of something, meaning having consciousness of it, is an ability of the being to recognize patterns. Remember, this is all about pattern recognition. To recognize patterns and meaning with respect to events that are taking place or have taken place, okay, both within oneself, okay, in the inner realm, in the lesser realm, the realm of the individuated consciousness, and in the realm in which the self exists and operates, the macrocosm. So let's break it down, right? Ability of a being to recognize patterns and meaning with respect to events taking place within oneself, the microcosm, and in the macrocosmic world, the world at large. And the events taking place is the truth.
I believe on this channel, when I'm talking about reflecting in the mirror, I think I'm talking about looking past the reflection that is easy to see and knowing the whole of the person behind that reflection. Before, I saw the reflection of my enemy. I couldn't see past the person I had disdain for. And now, because I have a little more freedom, I am uncontrolled by certain binding agents, addiction and rage. I can see past the reflection to the real me behind it. That I believe I'm connecting with my consciousness. The actual little voice, the whole, not just the meat sack, which unfortunately is swayed by the outer world a lot more than I care to admit. So learning to see past the control of the system to the spirit within, that was a big deal for me. But that's kind of what that's all about.
So it's our ability to accurately perceive truth of what has happened and what is happening. That's consciousness. That's consciousness. And it's made way overly complicated by people. It's mostly made overly complicated in the New Age movement, again, which I can't stress enough how big of a deception it is. For people, really have to go and check out my work on the New Age deception. Okay? It's on my website. It's in the video section, and it's in the podcast section. And it's a 7-hour presentation. But I'm telling you, it will be as worthwhile for you to check out as this seminar. So that's what consciousness is. Now, how does consciousness express? There's a difference between what it is and how it expresses in our life. Consciousness expresses. I ask people, just tell me, what are the ways you could ever make yourself known to any other being? How can any other being come to know who you are in this incarnation, in this physical manifestation? How could they possibly come to know you? How could you manifest yourself or make yourself known to them? And there's only 3 ways: thoughts, emotions, and actions. Okay? And I would say speech falls into the line of the combination of thoughts and emotions. And speech is also a form of action. I'm using force to,
It's the tool. It's the tool to convey the thoughts and emotions into action at the baseline created in the brain, next level. And now that's where the trivium and what I understand about it became so important. Passio explains that at some point. I don't know if it's in this or another place, but your ability to grasp an idea, understand an idea, then repeat the idea back to someone in your own words. And so I mean, come on, language is the tool That is the tool we use. Second.
Make the air flow over my valve, the combination of thoughts and emotions. And speech is also a form of action. I'm using force to, make the air flow over my vocal cords to make sounds come out so that you can hear what the concepts I'm trying to express. So it is a form of action.
Yes, it is.
And it derives from what we have thought up to this point and the emotions that we have, and we could express it through speech. So thought, emotion, and action. Thought you have to look at as the creative force that is the expression for consciousness within the individual. Okay? So it's a neutral force. You don't look at your thoughts as masculine or feminine, do you? But you do look at them as creative forces. In order for anything to manifest in the physical domain, it had to first exist as a thought. This computer, somebody had to envision all the parts, how it works, how it's put together. Okay? This camera equipment, the clothes you're wearing, the seats, everything that exists had to first exist in the realm of thought. Had to. By law. Then it comes into physical manifestation through action. Your emotions are a polarized component, you could look at it as.
And I think there's a good point to realize that manifestation and creation are closely connected. And then I think that's where sometimes it sounds like, well, you're working hard enough, that's the reward. But there's strong examples everywhere of hard work reaping zero rewards. Sometimes it takes more than the hard work. Sometimes it takes focused thought plus the actions to, I guess, dump the fullness of the learned experience into it all and reap the actual benefits. I don't know. I think so.
Your emotions, thought, had to, by law. Then it comes into physical manifestation through action. Your emotions are a polarized component, you could look at it as. It is a feminine aspect of consciousness because other people don't feel your emotions. They could perceive or sense them. You're the one who's feeling the emotions in your physiology. It's an internal expression. You feel emotions inwardly, inside in the physiology. Hence, this is a feminine expression for consciousness. It is something that is not externalized and put out. It is something that is felt within. So the emotions in the mind-body-spirit connection are the spirit in which we do something. Okay, so that's the feminine force or the spirit. Of course, thoughts are within our mind, hence that's the mind component of the consciousness. Then there's a marriage between them. Okay, so you could look at thoughts as the creative essence, which then blends with or marries to the feminine. Now, see, we're getting into a notion that is taught in many different religious traditions. It's called the Trinity. And I challenge anybody, go and look in any of the trinities that exist, in any of the religions. You can go back to Babylon. You can go to the Indus Valley traditions. You can go to the Egyptian and Cometian traditions, the Christian traditions. Every single religious tradition that has talked of a Trinity, okay, it is always a Father Creator, a sacred feminine figure, okay, of some kind that the Father then impregnates or inseminates in some form. And then from that offspring is born a male child. Always. Okay? What we're talking about here is the Father being the mind, the creative essence. Then the spirit or the emotions being the sacred feminine essence. Okay? Or the Holy Spirit, the emotions. And then the child, the male child, is behavior. It is the active or masculine principle that actually interacts with the physical world to change it. And hence, that is the only way to actually save ourselves. And again, people in religious thinking will immediately attack this and say, you're saying that saving ourselves will not come through faith. Yes, I am. Saving ourselves will only come through action. Action will save humanity.
Yeah.
Faith will not do it.
Faith is the binding agent. Faith is the blind belief. If I pay them enough and their glory is so big, they'll protect me. But they just perpetuate their own glory and power with very little action to save the world. That's why I'm so down on charity. Charity being more of a hallmark propaganda tool than an actual, come on. We could have stopped wanting servants a long time ago. There's something completely broken in people that they want others to serve them. And then they want so much they need others to serve them. Oh, that's just a full departure from anywhere we're supposed to be.
So, sorry to again...
Okay, serve at a base of servitude, not make... Yeah, because you can have help. People can work together. I'm not talking about that. Man, you don't want robot helpers. People want robot slaves. Come on. They want them to do all the menial tasks that are beneath them. Well, that's indentured servitude. You don't want helpers. You ain't really going to get your bro to help you clean your toilet every day. Maybe you should clean your own toilet and you and your people should help, reside the house or whatever. But certain things, you probably don't need someone to come in and scrub your toilets. You should probably learn to take care of yourself. Maybe if you had a better appetite, you wouldn't have to clean your, I'm just saying, it gets confusing. But I think they really want servants. And that is a huge problem.
And then the child, the male child, is behavior. It is the active or masculine principle that actually interacts with the physical world to change it. And hence, that is the only way to actually save ourselves. And again, people in religious thinking will immediately attack this and say, you're saying that saving ourselves will not come through faith. Yes, I am. Saving ourselves will only come through action. Action will save humanity. Faith will not do it. So, sorry to again, smash another egoic attachment that people have to religious notions. But these religions are created by the control system. Okay? People don't understand that exoteric Christianity is created by the dark occult, of the ancient dark occult mystery schools. They don't understand where this religion came from because they haven't studied astrotheology. And I'm not telling you there's no good...
No, I tell that people all the time. Because it's that wobble. It's the 2 or 3 days and then risen. And the whole life giver. And then realizing that only works on a Western Hemisphere. I think, isn't it the Western Hemisphere? It all nails it down. Civilization looked at that star so much longer than we made control systems. I think we're used to be freed by knowledge until a bunch of psychopaths decided to bind us with knowledge, and then we ain't never been free since. And that probably goes all the way back to the origins of the mystery schools.
Concepts in any of the ancient dark occult mystery schools. They don't understand where this religion came from because they haven't studied astrotheology. And I'm not telling you there's no good concepts in any religion. I say take all the good concepts and leave the nonsense. Because one of the nonsense is that you need to believe in something to be saved from the current human condition. You don't need to believe in a thing. You need to know the truth. And right in their own religion, there it is. Let me just stay on this for a moment, because in their own scripture, the exoteric Christian scriptures, what is the one prescription that the Christ figure gives to the people when he is asked about freedom? He's only asked about freedom like once in the Gospels, okay? In the words attributed to his teachings. And they want to know what will save us, what will make us free, and what is his prescription?
Truth shall make you free.
No, that is not. There's something missing there. You're close. What is the actual saying? Know the truth. Knowing the truth will make you free. That's the prescription, even in exoteric Christianity. It's right there in the Gospels. But Christians don't want to hear that because the controllers in the church who came from the dark priest class gave them this nonsense that all you have to do is believe and everything will magically change. Well, good luck with that. When people's behaviors have no alignment with morality, you think your belief's going to change something? Again, let me know how that works out for you. And again, I'm not mincing words up here. You know, I'm telling it like it really is. I don't care.
All right, we're going to go back. I hate, but this is very powerful section to end this up. And the first week of Passio's Natural Law Seminar as a cornerstone of this channel's existence is coming to a close. But man, I'm having a good time. And boy, is this powerful stuff, in my personal opinion.
Luck with that. When people's behaviors have no alignment with morality, you think your belief's going to change something? Again, let me know how that works out for you. And again, I'm not mincing words up here. You know, I'm telling it like it really is. I don't care who it offends. So, the expressions for consciousness are thoughts, emotions, and actions which are likened to, in the consciousness community, of mind, spirit, and body. And it's a trinity. A father creator, which is the thoughts, the mind, the feminine essence, which is the mother of the Trinity, the emotions, the inward aspects, the spirit. And then they give birth. When the thoughts and the emotions come together, they give birth to action in the world, which is the male child. This is very important to understand. I hope everybody is clear. This is our internal Trinity, which constitutes the expressions for consciousness. Okay? So let's move on.
And that will, let's see here.
Yes. Okay, how much time? It is. Okay, we're going to stop right there and take a break. We will resume at 1:15 precisely.
We will resume Monday morning and hit it hard come Tinfoil Hat Tuesday. But Mark Passio's Natural Law Seminar, part 9 here, but really it's just the first 2 hours of it. It is a 6-hour presentation. Well, this is where I always think about this on the channel, and we'll leave it at that. I hope, just like he's saying, it's not to offend, but I like that last part. I think that is so telling and so important, and it seems simple, but I don't think it is. And I think we put too much faith in others' abilities to save us, because we can never wake up to the idea that we have to save ourselves. But you get pushed into a tough situation and that survival instinct explodes in you due to natural law. It's there, it's in you, it exists. You will struggle against demise, you know? I'm looking forward to next week already. Later.